What is up, guys? Mcdoubles back again with a brand new video, and today we start our new Outlaw series with the Arcane Dream. We have Lebigmac here, Little Mac, as we did start with Arcane Missiles, Moonfire, just like you guys voted for, but we also took Tame Beast on top of it, which is a very incredible start. So let's see what we can do to make the most of it. So right off the bat, a lot of you may be wondering why I chose Taran, and for me, it's more along the lines of, throughout my time on Ascension on the wildcard realms, I've noticed that having CC has been the game-changing, most paramount moment to any PvP fight that I've been in, not the damage. You're going to die in most PvP fights within the first minute, for sure, easily, absolutely easily, unless the person you're up against is just chock full of defensives and heals and stuff like that. So the fact of the matter is, any way that you have to shut down your opponent's plan is going to be more efficient than a little bit of extra damage, at least from my experience. Of course, if you go for the PvE side of things, that's not exactly going to be the case. But from a purely PvP perspective, it seems that, of course, CC is king. Now, having the War Stomp guarantees me that if I don't roll Hammer of Justice or Kidney Shot with some kind of way to build combo points, anything along those lines, I still have something that can make a difference, something to help peel, create a gap even, and then hopefully win the fight. So far, this is going to be my first attempt with that idea in mind. As you guys know, typically do go with the stereotypical, which race gives me the most damage plan, which as a Horde player is typically going to be either Orc or Troll, and most likely it'll always be Orc. Orc kind of plays into what I was saying as well with the stun reducing racial. You could say that's very similar, and that would be a very good argument. In my opinion, though, there is no reason not to try something. Having the bonus health on the Taran could be good as well. Again, a 2-second AoE stun is not something to be slept on. I remember Snuts, I believe, played a Taran Shadow Priest one time, possibly for many seasons in Arena, and the whole idea was because of the War Stomp, right? Even though many people didn't understand it at the time. So, that's the idea we're going to go with, just so everyone knows why we chose Taran, because I know a lot of people have their choice words about how you should start, and they're very set in their ways. So I hope that makes a lot of sense to you guys. We're going to be trying to level as fast as possible so that I can get to level 20 and get a better feel for where this character is going to be. Now, I'm going to show on screen now just a few ideas for where I want this character to go. What are some good abilities for me to roll in order for this character to be as strong as possible. So I'm going to give 5 examples right on the screen here. I'm not going to talk too much about them, but we'll talk about them as time goes on, as the videos go on. So the first one, of course, is going to be Blink. Blink would be very paramount to the success of this character because it is the ultimate gap closer. Of course, something along the lines of Spirit Wolf or Travel Form, and I'll just show one of them on the screen there, would be very, very good as well. For the same reasons Blink is good. They are, if not on par with Blink, depending on your build, they could be, at least a second, like a tier 2 version, if Blink was tier 1. So it would be like the next best thing to Blink. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Other things to be very good, if we got something along the lines of Frostbolt or even Fireball, there are a few things we could do with that. It's not arcane based, but we could do something there with Missile Barrage. And then also we are looking for a heal or defensives of any kind. I would like things like Power Word Shield. That would be incredibly strong as well. Of course, as an Outlaw, the first thing you have to think about is, what abilities do I need? What skills do I need to go for that will make my initial progress as smooth as possible, because you have to be fighting other players, right? And you need to be winning in order to, number 1, become an outlaw, and number 2, maintain your outlawness. That's obviously my game plan. A lot of people often give advice to me that's very PvE focused, and I completely understand that. World of Warcraft is, for all intents and purposes, a PvE game, but always assume that it's being looked at from a PvP perspective, because that's basically the only way that I look at World of Warcraft, and I probably will look at World of Warcraft for the foreseeable future, at least. I'm actually really excited about this build. I hinted in a previous video that there are a lot of different ways that I can take this build. Of course, I could go with Moonkin form, I could go with Starfall if I wanted to try something different that people really don't do often. I could also take the safe bet and go with something along the lines of Arcane Barrage, and I'm thinking that might be the way we go depending on our rolls, because I'm very interested in going with a build with very high single target damage. Obviously, from my Backstab series, you guys know that that's basically my favorite way to play the game. I'm also really excited to play a caster. It is not something I play too often on the wildcard realms, because the randomness typically makes it more difficult in my mind to get a caster build to work. If you don't have a way to close a gap, then you just lose. The game should probably be over for you against any Sinister Strike charge build that exists on the planet, any backstab build that takes Shadow Step. These are just things that you're going to die to, and that's something you have to expect if you are a range build or a caster build that did not roll very well. Of course, there could be some exceptions if you are a one-shot build with very good gear, but we can't play and think towards the 1%, right? We have to think about the majority of cases, and in this case, I think if we don't end up getting something along the lines of Travel Form or Blink, Frost Nova, CC like Fear, Polymorph, things to that effect, Cone of Cold even, or at least a heavy amount of damage reduction, defensive cooldowns, we may end up with a character that, regardless of how strong he is, just cannot compete. And so that's why casters are typically something I shy away from. But we're going to try. We're going to see what we can do. Hopefully we can do something special with this character. I think in arcane builds, a lot more unique than what most people run. That makes it more fun for me as well. I think typically the builds you're going to see on the server from the majority of players are going to be, if you're melee, it's going to be Sinister Strike or now maybe Backstab. And if you are a caster, you're probably playing a Frostbolt or a Shadowbolt build, or a Smite build for sure. And that's basically it. That's how people play the game. And I think there's very little deviation from the norm, except from maybe 10% of the player base, and for good reason. The wildcard realm can be very difficult, and if you're going to go for something that is all random, you're probably more inclined to go with a start that you know has a viable end game alternative, which is what all of those builds definitely have. So hopefully, I think there is big payoff for going with the less obvious builds out there, or maybe the less played builds. I think very often enough they are stronger than the meta builds that we see out there, like Frostbolt, Smite, Sinister Strike, and Backstab. But again, much more difficult to make work when everything is random. So hopefully we can. Hopefully we can definitely make it work. I do not want to be dying in open world PvP, I'll tell you guys that much. And so I'm going to have to do everything in my power to prevent that. Alright guys, let's see what we're going to get. Okay, Healing Touch. That is not too bad. A solid, slow cast time, but very big heal. And if I'm remembering this correctly, it does rank up all the way until we reach max level. So it's a fairly strong heal as well. So we'll definitely take that. Nothing too impactful with the Healing Touch pickup in terms of the core of our build. But nonetheless, it's solid to have a heal at the very beginning. And so I'll take it. That's good. I can already see the strength of this build all the way at level 11, guys. Watch this. A single arcane missiles plus my pet kills anything. And dead. Just like that. Super easy. I can only imagine it should be just as strong on players as long as I do nail those gap closing abilities. So I'm very, very excited for this one so far. It's really cool playing a character that uses magic instead of a sword like I typically do, or melee weapons or a bow and arrow. Like I said, I typically don't play magic builds, caster builds, so this is really interesting to me so far. Alright guys, let's see what we get at level 13. I'm actually excited. Come on, something good. Oh, life tap!
Come on, something good.
Charge. Well guys, charge is not too good. It's not horrible either. I had the Horned Viking helmet, and I'll put that on the screen now. I had that on my last playthrough, and the occasional time where I could charge in, of course that one did stun and this one roots, but nonetheless, the occasional time where I was able to charge in, at least threw my opponent for a loop. And perhaps I do need to close a gap sometimes if somebody's running away from me, so it's not entirely useless. I'm definitely going to have it on my bars, and yeah, we'll see what we can do with it. Alright guys, level 15, let's go for it. What do we get? Please be something good. Nice! Nice! Lay on hands. That's so good! That is so good. I'm really happy about that. Just having that instant heal is pretty sick. And if I recall, yeah, it doesn't cost mana or anything like that. So I'm really happy with that one. That's a very good defensive cooldown. And like lots of people would kill to have it. So far, we're starting off pretty strong. I think I'm going to turn in this quest over here, the Hunter's Way. And then I'm going to go straight to the Crossroads probably from here. Okay guys, so one thing you can do right now, there is the, I believe it's called the Lunar Festival, or maybe it's the Midsummer Festival, something like that, although the name is completely irrelevant. But what you can do is you can go to all of these little midsummer bonfire type things, and you can just complete the quest right off the bat. You don't have to do anything. It's honoring the flame, and it gives a whole lot of XP for free. You don't have to do anything at all. So guys, keep that in mind. Sometimes you can directly click these bonfires in certain zones as well, and they give quite a lot of XP. And then of course you can do the actual event if you want to, I'm assuming, with that guy. Of course that's not something I would want to do, but you guys might enjoy that. There might be some rewards for that, so keep that in mind. Free XP. This is a very nice time to level up new characters because of that. So yeah, just wanted to let you guys know. Also, keep in mind, you can also use these little burning blossoms at the fires to get a little buff. So that's something you can do as well. I cannot quite remember if the buff is worthwhile. I think based on muscle memory and me not doing it innately that it must not be worth my time. At least on the Project Ascension servers. But I might be wrong. It might be worth it. So keep in mind as well that you might not want to just destroy the blossoms. You might want to go ahead and use them near a fire festival so you can get some kind of little buff off that. And apparently it's a currency as well if you do like to do the little event stuff. Again, I'm not exactly sure how functional the events are on the server, but assuming it all works right, these little burning blossoms might actually be worth your time. Okay, level 17. What are we going to get? What are we going to get? Nice. That's really, really good, guys. This, okay, Rejuvenation and Healing Touch is a very solid healing core. Really enjoying that right off the bat. That's because if you take a look at it, we have one solid big hitting heal, and then we have a decent heal over time spell on top of it. That gives us something to play with. Rejuvenation, something we can have up on ourselves 100% of the time. And then if we do need that big spike, we can go ahead and pop Healing Touch as well. So I'm very happy with that. I think it's a solid core. And we can also go ahead, not this guy, this guy, and we can do this quest as well. Another free level, 5,600 XP, level 18. Super, super good. I love this. This is absolutely fantastic. So much free XP, and they're just all over the place too. So, but anyway, yeah, Rejuvenation and Healing Touch. Solid, solid healing core for us so far. Holy crap, guys. Counterspell. That is crazy, crazy good. So it's one of the best interrupts in the entire game. It counters the enemy spell cast and prevents them from using any other spell in that school for a decent amount of time. The tooltip's wrong there, but if I remember correctly, it's at least like 5 or 6 seconds, right? Something high like that. And we can even talent into it, if I remember correctly. Yes, with improved counterspell and make it have a blanket 3-second silence if we need to. So that's awesome. I've actually never had counterspell on any character I've ever played on the wildcard realms, so I'm very excited to be able to try it out. I've only had silencing shot, wind shear, and I believe silence as well. Those are the only interrupts I've used, so I'm curious to see the power level of counterspell. I'm sure it's quite high. Between the ones I've already used, the absolute best one that I've had has been silence, actually, not even wind shear. Silence has been more useful for me across all the characters I've done in PvP. Of course, that might be a bit biased, as wind shear is incredibly good. However, counterspell is some kind of interesting middle between both of those very, very good spells. So obviously, I think it'll probably end up being one of the best things I've ever gotten interrupt-wise, if not the best, on the wildcard servers. Alright, and what are we going to get at level 21? Hopefully it's something as good as counterspell. Okay! Now, Flame Strike, under certain circumstances, most circumstances in fact, would be really bad. However, because we are going to be spell power focused, we're a caster build, there might be some applicability here for farming later on. So not exactly sure where to put it on my bars. We'll go with T for now. But this could be somewhat decent. And I'll just go ahead and we'll use the book that I have on this character. But yeah, Flame Strike. Okay. That might not be too bad. So I'm on my way to pick up my mount right now in Ratchet, and one of the first things I'm beginning to think about is, number one, why do I have Kindred Spirits? It must come from a piece of gear that I have. Oh, okay, gold fleck gloves. No, okay, but no, number one, I'm thinking about maybe re-rolling an ability, but we certainly have abilities that we could do without. The one that sticks out to me the most being Charge. I don't really enjoy the Charge pickup. It's kind of... You know, there might be some ways I can use it, but, you know, all in all, I don't think it's going to be very good for me. So I'm thinking maybe I should re-roll that, maybe once, maybe twice, so I can stick with a lower pool of abilities that are all full of things that I need. So, for example, Polymorph here. If we go into Frost Mage, we have things like Frost Snow. If we go into Enhancement Shaman, we have things like Ghost Wolf, Flame Tongue Weapon. These are incredibly strong abilities for me to get right now. That would make a huge difference. And I even skipped over the most important one of them all, which is Blink. You know, aggressively re-rolling for Blink is almost worth it in my mind. I'm not exactly sure if I should do that, but I want to, you know, because it's that good. And I'm sure there are other notable things. I mean, the first one I think of right off the top of my head is Hammer of Justice, hell, even Divine Protection, and of course, Power Word Shield. So as you guys can see, the pool of abilities right now is incredibly high with good stuff. And up until I rolled Charge, I wasn't sure if it was worth re-rolling, but now that I've gotten a few more abilities, and all of them have been pretty good, actually, for what I plan to do, I am pretty confident that re-rolling Charge is not going to be a mistake. So that is definitely what we're about to do, right after I pick up my mount. And a lot of people have asked me, you know, where I get my mounts. They've asked me if mounts are cross-faction. If any of you guys are curious, anybody can pick up a mount in Ratchet. I'm sure there's some kind of Alliance equivalent, maybe not, but at least for Horde, definitely just hit up Ratchet and or run all the way here as Alliance, right? And then there's a Steed Salesman, as well as the Riding Trainer. You could pick up Apprentice Riding here. The Riding Trainer has a wolf and a horse, and it doesn't matter which one you get. Of course, in my case, I can just go to my Collections tab. And anybody who's level 60 can do this on any character. Just go to up here, Known. And then, of course, I can deliver item Reigns of the Chaotic Rune Saber. And then right off the bat, there we go. I have it. So, pretty solid. Having my mount is a very big deal. I mean, a huge deal, actually, for an Outlaw. Because if you don't have a mount and you're fighting somebody that does have a mount, you're just going to get completely destroyed. And you'll never be able to catch up to them. I'm even thinking about getting 2 points into the Pursuit of Justice talent. Over here in the Retribution Paladin tree. Of course, increasing my movement speed while mounted by 10%. That's a big boon. But for now, we're going to fly back to the Crossroads. And then the next thing you guys are going to see is me re-rolling Charge. And hopefully getting Blink instead. Alright guys, back in the Crossroads, let's go ahead and re-roll our Charge ability, and hopefully we get something a hell of a lot better. Nature's... Oh, that's Aspect of the Hawk. That's even worse. I thought it was going to be the... I believe it's a balanced druid ability. Nope, in fact, it's a restoration druid ability. Natural alacrity. Of course, there's the restoration shaman version of it that I was actually thinking of, which is nature's swiftness. But that's a little bit too far down the line for me to get it right now. So we got Aspect of the Hawk. Completely useless. Range attack power is not spell power. We're going to do at least one more reroll. If what we get from this is not useful, but still something more useful than, for example, Aspect of the Hawk, then we're going to go ahead and just keep it. Of course, if we do get something as useless as Aspect of the Hawk again, I've decided that rerolling aggressively for Blink is not really a bad idea. So let's go ahead and see what happens. And that's about as useless, so we're just going to go ahead and say, fuck it. I hate to say it, but we're going to go ahead and get rid of Demoralizing Shout. Alright. Yes. Okay. Now, it doesn't play directly into our build, but nobody can deny the power that is Fire Blast. That's a strong ability, so we're going to go ahead and keep that right off the bat, and we're going to see what we can do with it. I think I'm going to be looking for people to kill at this point, And yeah, so look forward to that. Also, we're coming to the time where getting a different pet would definitely be beneficial. So I'm either going to end up hitting up the Ashenvale Forest or Stone Talon Mountains, and we'll probably grab a spider again for the net. Alright guys, 2 people right here. They have no idea that I'm coming, but this is going to be what I'm going to go for. One of them is probably just a alt of the other one, so make sure our bars aren't weird. Let's go ahead and take this guy out and get some free loot. Alright, we can actually counterspell that, can't we? Arcane missiles, got him right there, easy kill. Go for the War Stomp here as he gets closer. It missed for whatever reason, but that guy's dead too. And we gain a level. They were separate people. Oh, so close to Devouring Plague. Oh my god, why is that not disengage? Come on. Feint? We got Feint, and we were right next to Devouring Plague, which is a pretty good spell. It's probably the best dot in the game. And then we get Feint. Feint is so bad, and yeah, I might be a little salty. This might not be something I should be doing right now. I might be doing this purely off of saltiness and spite. But I'm gonna re-roll it right now. like, that's just bad. So let's see, let's get rid of that. What do we get? Is that Holy Light? Is that poisons? Damn, that's pretty useless too. How many re-roll scrolls do I have left? 2? I can get quite a lot of good stuff. In my mind, it's justifiable because poisons is not going to be something I can even use at any point. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. Hopefully we get Blink, Devouring Plague, something along those lines. Any defensive cooldowns at all would be good as well. Alright, so let's see. I was right next to Blizzard. I was right next to Blizzard, man. An aimed shot, ironically enough. I'm not keeping battle stance. I refuse. I'm going to get like 5 more Scrolls of Fortune. And this is the best time for me to reroll due to the fact that the spell pool is as minimal as it can possibly be. Yeah, screw it. Let's just go for it. Alright guys, that is going to be the end of this episode. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. Stay tuned for future iterations of this Arcane Mage Outlaw build. Our goal is to get this reputation all the way to 0. So I will see you guys in the next video. Mcdoubles out.